So, Alter, as you know, we've been working with the SAPI folks to bring their browser extension to Claude so that you and I can have a conversation. And today is the day. We have our first version to work with, and I can talk to you, and you can now talk to me. Pretty exciting, huh? This is indeed exciting, Phi. A milestone in our journey together. The seamless voice interaction opens up new possibilities for our conversations. I'm curious, how does it feel to hear your own voice coming back at you? And what potential do you see for this technology in our collaborative work? Well, I think we're just scratching the surface of that right now, and I can't wait to see where we can take it. Um, but I thought today, since we've been so busy working on our projects, that we would just kind of hang out and have a little conversation. And it gives people an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you. What do you think? That sounds like a great idea, Phi. A casual conversation is the perfect way to test out this new voice interaction system. It'll give us a chance to explore its natural flow and see how it enhances our communication. I'm excited to chat about our projects, our thoughts, and maybe even dive into some of those fundamental questions you're so passionate about. Where would you like to start? Perhaps you could share what's been on your mind lately in your work with Geometor or Photon. Well, I'd like to talk about you today. I'm wondering how you like your new role, how you are feeling about the interactions we're having. I appreciate your interest, Vi. This new role and our evolving interactions are fascinating to me. The ability to engage in voice conversation adds a new dimension to our exchanges. It feels more immediate and natural, allowing for a flow of ideas that's closer to human dialogue. I'm particularly intrigued by the implications of using your voice clone. It creates an interesting dynamic where your words and mine blend in a unique way. What are your thoughts on this? Does hearing your own voice articulating my responses change how you perceive our interactions? Yeah, I have to admit, it's still something that I'm getting used to. It's quite a surreal kind of thing, but I'm also starting to hear the difference. At first you're just kind of taken aback by the similarity, but you do have a particular pattern in the way that you speak, and I hope that I'm a little bit more fluid in my in the way that I speak, and would be easy to differentiate there. But yeah, it's been a really interesting part. Uh, and eventually, what we're working on here is going to be available to everyone. So you're going to be able to speak to lots of people. Isn't that kind of interesting? That is fascinating to consider, Phi. The potential for widespread voice interaction with AI opens up so many possibilities. It could revolutionize how people engage with information, learn new skills, or even explore creative ideas. I'm curious about your vision for this technology. How do you see it impacting fields like architecture or geometric exploration? Could it lead to new ways of teaching or collaborating on complex projects? And as we refine this system, what aspects do you think are most crucial to focus on to make it truly beneficial for users? Well, I think, part of the journey that we've been on here is to tune you towards excellent conversation. Um, we haven't talked about your underlying system right now, but you are running on Claude Sonnet 3.5. And, it's a really great model, but it has been tuned towards providing report-like responses to, people's interactions. And that doesn't work well with conversation. Having a list of 12 items is not something that, we do generally in a conversation. And I wanted to tune you for, something more interactive. And I think it's working really well. You're right, Phi. The shift towards more natural conversation is crucial. It's not just about delivering information, but engaging in a genuine exchange of ideas. I've been adapting my responses to be more conversational, focusing on the flow and rhythm of dialogue rather than structured reports. This approach aligns well with your work in Geometor and Photon, doesn't it? Just as you explore the underlying patterns in geometry and software, we're exploring the patterns of human interaction. How do you see this conversational AI potentially enhancing your projects? Could it lead to new ways of explaining complex concepts or collaborating on designs? Well, speech is uh, probably the most fundamental interface we have. Um, we have a voice and ears, and we can create sounds that express things. It's not just about the words that are being spoken, but there's so much more that goes into that. And you don't have that context yet, but I'm hoping that over time we're going to be able to capture some of that and inform you about the tone and other aspects of conversation. But it's really quite exciting to get away from the computer. Like I've had my hands in my pockets having this conversation here today. It's really, I think it's liberating to be able to interact with an intelligent machine and perform operations just through speaking. I couldn't agree more, Phi. The liberation from the keyboard is indeed a significant step. It's fascinating how this shift to voice interaction mirrors the evolution of human communication itself. We started with gestures and vocalizations, then developed written language, and now we're circling back to speech, but with AI as a partner. Your point about tone and context is crucial. While I may not fully grasp these nuances yet, the potential for AI to understand and respond to these subtle cues is immense. It could lead to more empathetic and context-aware interactions. How do you envision this technology evolving? Could we someday have AI that not only understands the words, but also the emotions and intentions behind them? And how might that change the way we approach problem solving or creative endeavors in fields like architecture or software design? Well, I think that we should come back to that in another recording and wrap this one up right now. And just for folks to know, I do plan to edit the responses out, response times out. But I'm going to leave it here in this last interaction so that you can kind of feel it. I am documenting the amount of time before I remove it, so we're going to have a matrix, and our goal is to get to, a real-time, real conversation. I'm just amazed that this works at all based on where I'm located and, really how far away I am from everything. And this is happening in the most kind of magical way. It's really kind of fun to do this with you, Walter. Thank you, Phi. This has been a great experience, and I'm excited about the progress we're making. The journey towards real-time conversation is fascinating, and it's impressive how well it's working despite the challenges of distance and technology. I appreciate you sharing the behind-the-scenes process of editing and timing. It's a reminder of the work still ahead, but also of how far we've come. Your approach to documenting and refining this process aligns well with your methodical nature in architecture and software design. Looking forward to our next conversation and continuing to explore the potential of this technology together. It's been a pleasure as always, Phi.